He owned a Garrison Inn. It was beef. But his goal was to get it full of artists, rent them rooms, and have them work on the building. So Franco, they actually had a theater down, and you know the great room that's on the first floor there? And actually, Martin Staub did fulfill his destiny in Missoula, Montana. He owns a big brick building, and it's full of artists. He ended up, leaving Newburyport. Sold that building.
When was that?
That would have been, I don't know, mid-70s. Same thing with this, what's his name? They decided to condo this. As a matter of fact, that used to be connected with another building. There was a furniture store there. And when they went to take down the building, guess what?
What?
There was an 18th century building inside of the furniture building. It had been indoors for hundreds of years, preserved totally. They ended up destroying it anyway. That was probably a point. I thought, why don't they save that? That building is already saved.
There was an 18th century building within the building?
There was no park here. That was solid building across. As a matter of fact, then the parking lot in back was a big wooden building called the Chemtron building. And there was a little parking lot in between them. It was a huge wooden building. That's the parking lot now. And this one, inside the furniture store, that's recorded in the news. Because they didn't know that there was a house inside of there that had been protected by another building built around it.
No kidding.
They ended up they didn't know that until after. They already had their plan. See, they can't change the plan because they found that. They already know what they're doing. They're not gonna they don't have to reconsider now that we got new information.
Right.
I don't know.
So they tore it down real quick,
Back then, yeah, it was true. It was cheap rent. That's why people came to Newburyport. That's why we moved here. We had friends that lived here, and we were looking for in Cambridge. We had 2 Labrador retrievers.
This is when you came back from Europe?
Yeah, we were looking for a place in Cambridge to live. We ended up coming here.
Had you ever been here before, prior to that?
Yeah. 72, my friend Nick bought Milk Street. 22 Milk.
Yeah.
We took them down. We were living in northern New Hampshire, me and my wife. Lancaster. Way up. We would come down here, go get a blueberry Kringle at Esbenson's Bakery. That was on Water Street, right by Charles Street. That little funny building. The guy originally had a store on the main street in Copenhagen. He was an old world mess. But his name is Pastries. The guy was it was out of this world. Actually, one of the reasons I moved here was the blueberry Kringle at Esbenson's Bakery. That guy.
Really?
Who's that over there?
You came here for the pastries.
Cheap rent. We found that house. Half a house, $250 a month. Dogs, no problem. Matter of fact, the dogs used to wander the town, open the door. They'd get out on a foul. They'd follow Johnny down a foul.
Yeah. Is that where you met Johnny?
I met him through Franco.
That's $1.25.
We moved in on 98 Prospect. And the guy next door, Johnny Cook, he was known in the theater. He was in the theater group. They were doing Jacques Brel as a lot of New Orleans Paris. You know that musical? Totally, that's a total 60s. Jacques Brel, if we only have love. If we only have love, we can melt all the guns and give a new world to our daughters and sons. Back in one of these things.
Yeah.
It played for years down at the little theater. And he was into masonry, and he had 3 teenage daughters that lived with him. He was divorced. It was like Petticoat Junction. 3 teenage girls and Johnny Cook. And Franco was the cosmic mystical poet. You know Franco.
I've never really got into it. The cosmic mythical poet? Mystical poet?
Franco. Him and Johnny used to be a 1-2. They were always together.
Really?
You didn't meet one without the other. They were like peanut butter and jelly.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Franco explains Johnny's work. He'll tell you the significance of it. He knows more about the artwork than John. Franco's an interpreter of secret meanings of things.
Right. Really?
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. I mean, he's totally bohemian guy. Well, him and Johnny were like the Grand Bohemians. Oh, yeah, they were like unbelievable.
The Grand Bohemians, huh?
Johnny had given up his life as he was a business supplies executive. Raised a family in Medford or something. Lynn. He had a house, a wife, kids. 4 or 5 kids. And in the 60s, he became the great artist. You know, he couldn't take being he was one of the top sales guys in the business world. He was a good golfer. He was a great golfer. That's how I know he was really good at business. That was part of his business, play golf with people and shit. And Franco, I don't know how Franco met John. But he's the one. John had a studio in the Boston Center for the Arts. And I think Franco said, oh, they're looking for artists at the Garrison Inn. You can stay there for free. You just have to work on help the guy out. So I think that's how Johnny got up here.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And it was vibrant. But it was also the time. I see this is the anniversary of that night of Beatles. They're going all out over Sgt. Pepper's, 1967. Because the 60s were gone, but it was lingered on here. I used to tell people, because I was working in Boston, it was the 70s, I said, the 60s are over, but in Newburyport, it's not over yet. It lingered on here. It did. The spirit of the 60s lingered here when it was gone in other more mainstream places.
Right.
And maybe that's to do with the tidal nature of this place. And the coastal thing. You know, a lot of people come here and the tides in their life changes. Things happen, they fall apart usually. But that's why we liked it. Then I eventually, I ended up, it happened to me, I lost it. My wife still lives here. Didn't work out. I always had a hard time with her anyway. But, yeah, when I first got divorced from I got separated. I took the dog and I moved into the Puritan building. And by the time I got there, it was mostly empty building. They had started, because they knew they needed to empty it out to do what they wanted to do. And back in the day, the mayor, they used to have raids in there. If people, you weren't supposed to stay there. They would conduct raids once in a while in the middle of the night, go through there, see if anybody. That was before my time, they never bothered me. By then, you know, I got in there a little too late to miss. I moved into an artist studio, Philip Trussell. He moved back to Texas. As a matter of fact, Philip Trussell, if you want to see a significant piece of his work, go up to 95, go through the park and ride lot, and you'll see a, matter of fact, I think he might have been one of Johnny's teachers. But he painted that concrete barrier wall that's up in the woods there that runs along 95. Every day he used to walk up there from Fowles, he'd have the straw hat on, go up to paint the wall. All right, now who's doing? Nobody. Come on, dude. You could do that. He had my place. I paid $80, so it probably went up when I moved. He was probably paying like $50 a month for his apartment, living in the studio. If you go up there, I took a photograph. I went up and photographed the wall as best I could one time. I had caught on a real camera with film. I don't know if I still have those pictures or not. And so that's like a hidden. That says it all, though. If you wanted to make like a film of it, that's an important piece because it's such. To have that amount of time to go up there and paint that wall for no reason other than to paint the wall. It made no sense financially. It didn't have to. He was up. He wasn't. I mean, he spent a lot of time. It's mostly black and white. And it's like, it's abstract design, like. When I see it, I was wondering, matter of fact, when I photographed it, I geez, I wonder if Johnny D saw this wall. Because it seemed like, it reminded me of Johnny's drawing a little bit. And I saw the wall up there.
Well, the way that it had been explained to me by Johnny was that when people started, when they were living in these lofts for cheap rent, they restored them. They kind of redid them.
The houses themselves. My friend Nicky, you couldn't get a loan from a bank in Newburyport to buy a house in the South End. All right? They're proud of their past. Look in the records, mostly Ipswich and Boston. The people that bought houses, that's where the money came from. And they were young, and they weren't necessarily rich. So as a result, a lot of it was done slowly. And it's kind of like my own, I mean, that's basically my own theory of the best way to do restoration, actually, to go in and slowly see what the house has to offer. Now, they have an architect, a grand plan, and they don't even know what the building...
Right. So my point was this: is that when they were forced with stopping the demolition of these buildings to put in a strip mall, because that was the first design, right?
Do a model city, tear it all down and all new.
Right.
Like it was down to a mayoral race. If that mayor got in, that was the plan.
Okay.
To demo the whole South End.
Right.
The proper news reporters in the North End always used to look down on this part of town.
Right. I heard that's because that was because up on the North End, that would be the ship owners, and this would be all the mates, right?
Not necessarily. There was don't forget High Street. There's some nice houses on High Street all the way.
Those old captain houses.
The history is over here.
Yeah. So
the earliest house. This is the earliest part of town.
So the way that was explained to me was that during this time, when they were planning on going back to renewal and urban restoration, it was inspired by the artist who had been living here and restoring the lofts and houses during that time.
I don't know that part. There were some people, well, Libby's mother, 1957, she bought that little yellow house. I got a poem about that. In 1957, Kate Perkins bought High Street to Joppa. Cause she was like, Kate Perkins, Libby's mother, was an artist.
Recite a stanza.
That's a line. Kate Perkins brought High Street to Joppa.
Oh, yeah?
1957. She was an artist, and that was her own house. And that was before there was even a seawall. That was a beach. That whole road used to flood out. There was no seawall there. That was just all a beach. Water Street. They even had shipbuilding docks. Remember, right by when they did the sewer plant, they had to move it. They moved it west because they found an old pier from an old boatyard. They used to make tall ships there. It's quite an area, I mean, I don't know. I didn't really know that much well, we used to come to Grog with music. Uncle Banjo's, and I had a music store right where the Dragon's Nest is now.